Welcome to BI514, which is Greek and Hebrew tools. I am Steve Driediger. I am excited to be leading this cohort through this learning experience. My own fascination with language began when I was quite young. I remember having a conversation with my parents as we drove along in our 1984 Suburban on holidays, somewhere I would assume, and having a conversation with my mom about German words for certain things. For whatever reason, the conversation revolved around cutlery. Maybe I was hungry, I don't know. But I discovered that in German, knife is Messer, fork is Gabel, spoon is Löffel, and that was all very interesting to me. But what I found myself wondering was, how do people who speak German know that a Löffel is a spoon? After all, spoon is what the thing really is, isn't it? So that must be confusing for people who speak German to call something different than what it really is. Since then, my fascination with language has not subsided, and calling into pastoral ministry gave me plenty of opportunity to continue to study language, to study the Greek, Hebrew, and then to put these tools to use in my preaching and in my sermon preparation. There was a Russian Jewish poet who not so long ago said something to the effect of, reading the Bible in translation is like kissing your new bride through a veil. Now, I'm not sure that he's entirely right, but it is an interesting thought. And I think sometimes that's what we're expecting, that if we can just get to the original words, it will be like lifting a veil so we can see the thing for what it really is. Now, maybe that's not entirely misguided, but, given that this is kind of like a reference course, we're going to learn how to do good searches, good word searches, good language searches, and we have to do a couple of things. One of those things is to learn the search terms, which, in terms of the Greek and Hebrew, is things like vocabulary and grammar and syntax. We have to know the nuts and bolts of the language, but there's something beyond that, which is asking the question that I think we usually say something like, how does language work? Not just how does the Greek language work, not just how does the Hebrew language work, but actually how do people use language to communicate in a meaningful way? And that's the other part that we have to dig into, which is kind of like saying, once we've done our search, we've made a good search, and now we have narrowed our results from 1 billion down to 15, how do we evaluate the results that we've gotten to find out what's useful, what's going to be helpful in not just understanding the technical aspect of the scripture, but what will help us to hear God's voice, what will help us to hear God speaking to us here and now, so that it's not just our knowledge of scripture that grows, but it's our personal knowledge, relationship with the Creator that grows throughout this whole process. That's my hope. That's our prayer, my prayer, as we go on this journey together.